And welcome to our first in real life, I guess, since the reopening, investor event for Onward NRV. It's worth an applause. So we were recognized, I think, for our investor event last year for holding it in real life and a digital version at Sinkland Farms. And it brings me great pleasure that we have more in attendance this go around than we did last year, so that continues to highlight the recovery that's happening. So hopefully, speaking of recovery, we'll see more blue sky and less gray again, and be able to enjoy some baseball after our event. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our elected official, or actually our regional director of office of Senator Tim Cainghorn Blevins. Please stand or wave your hand and be recognized. Thank you. Also would like to recognize our NRV Onward Board of Directors. Please raise your hand, stand on your table, however you'd like to be recognized. Thank you for that. I'd recognize our chairman level investors as well, Greeley New River Valley Medical Center, the FTZ number 238, Montgomery County, Pulaski County, and Virginia Tech. Our president level investors, we'll recognize them at this time: Appalachian Power, Atlantic Union Bank, Block 1, BAE Systems, Celanese, the City of Radford, Floyd County, Giles County, and Louisville Hospital Montgomery. Tonight's event sponsor is First Bank and Trust. And thank you. We are excited to watch these river turtles play. So with that being said, I will now turn the microphone over to Charlie Jewell. Thank you, Charlie.
Oh, there we go. All right, it's, wow, this feels different. I'm used to staring at a computer screen and seeing myself, but I can't see myself. I'll see if I can make it through this, but certainly appreciate everybody being here today. I'm going to call you all pioneers, because you have pioneered coming back to an in-person event. And we're very grateful to have you back here with you today. We're looking forward to continuing to host these again on a quarterly basis here in person, and looking forward to getting more and more people back out and attending these events, because we do think it's very valuable. One of the things that we love about Onward is the work and our mission, but one of the greatest benefits of the organization, I think, are our quarterly events, where so many people from around the region get the opportunity to network and get to know each other, and that really, I think, is beneficial for the region. So if you're watching today, if you're not here in person, we hope you will join us in September for our annual dinner in person, and we can start building those relationships again. In terms of the Onward update today, I'm just going to give you a quick run through of our current fiscal year, which is going to end in roughly about 2 weeks. So we run not on a calendar year, but on a July 1 through June 30th. So I'm really excited as I sat down and as we've started to begin reflecting back on this year about what has been able to be accomplished even during the pandemic. So I'm going to give you an update on prospect activity to start off with. So, certainly when the pandemic hit, we were very concerned about new business investment opportunities and the impact that the pandemic would have on our pipeline. As of today, we've had 50 new prospect inquiries since July 1 of last year. So that's 55% higher than what we had last fiscal year. And oddly enough, 55% above our annual goal for the year. So that's great. And through those, 2/3 of those, we've just seen really a surge of new activity since January 1. So from January through the end of April, we hit really monthly records since I've been here through that period. And again, I think a lot, hoping most of you are seeing that hopeful return to normal and increased activity. But, you know, as I've looked at the projects that have come through, I think there were a lot of industries that weren't fully impacted by the pandemic, but they kept waiting for that second shoe to fall. So it kind of forced them and put them in a position to be a little conservative with starting to plan new projects. And I think as the vaccine was announced and as those started to be put in people's arms earlier this year that were all with it, a lot of companies that were a little bit behind the ball on starting those searches. So out of those 50 for the year, we did have one that came through that we announced last 2 months ago in April, Oronsi, who announced about a $6 million investment and 100 jobs in the city of Bradford. Really excited to have them joining their growing cluster of manufacturers in the New River Valley, and really excited about that. So as we look at our current pipeline of projects that are active, we still have about 26 that have been active within the last 3 months. And of those, the projects coming out of the pandemic are certainly a much larger from what we're seeing. But in that pipeline of 6 projects that have shortlisted a location in the New River Valley, the total pipeline on that is $260 million and 1,700 jobs. So there's a potential there that we could certainly have some more announcements, hopefully sometime sooner or before the end of the year. But the challenge will be, hopefully we can land one of those. It is evenly distributed right now. About a third of those are manufacturing companies, a third of them are distribution companies, and then a third of those 6 are tech companies. So good distribution there. But the challenge we're already starting to hear is talent. And it used to be and continues to be somewhat of a challenge to have a ready-to-go site or building. And when we do have one, the next challenge that we're starting to hear a lot from consultants and companies is where are we going to find the people? And that's something that we're working on with your investment heavily and trying to make sure that we have a lot of talent for these companies to pull from. So we've been busy as well on that front with talent campaigns. And when I say talent campaigns, digital marketing campaigns where we're using the assets that we've been developing, whether it's the videos or specific assets on our website, in order to promote those out of market to help raise awareness of the opportunities to live and work in the New River Valley. This year, since July 1 of last year, we've completed 5 different digital campaigns. One was the Find Your Escape campaign, which was outdoor focused. We've done 2 manufacturing campaigns and also 2 tech job campaigns. And collectively, we've reached 1.8 million people through those 5 digital campaigns. And we've had 800,000 people actually watch the videos that we use in those posts to help them get a taste of what the New River Valley is. Out of those, 88,000 people clicked on those ads, and then we have roughly 6,000 people click through to our actual regional marketing website where they could actually search jobs and learn about the communities and the quality of life within the New River Valley. So really excited about that. And then lastly, on the front of this year is we just kicked off our second inaugural, I guess it's not inaugural at that point, our second cohort of NRV Experience. And if you're not familiar with that program, it's one of our talent programs that's really designed to retain college students within the New River Valley. So what do? We have roughly a 7-week program, actually, 7-week program where we have a kickoff event with interns that are enrolled into the program through their employers. And our goal is to help introduce those interns to the region. So we do weekly excursions to all 5 of the communities within the New River Valley to help them experience what makes those communities unique. Well, year 2 of the program, we have 44 interns enrolled into the program this year, which is double than what we had last year. So we had 17 last year. And only 2% of those 44 are actually from the New River Valley, meaning that they grew up in one of the communities. So we have 2 from Blacksburg and 1 from Pulaski. So that's really a great opportunity to expose people who do not know the region to what life is like here beyond graduation. Over 2/3 of the interns that are enrolled this year are attending for college at Virginia Tech, so they make up the bulk. But overall, we have 9 different universities represented, including Radford University, NYU, LSU, Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, UConn, Liberty, and the University of Houston. And one of the testimonials, really early ones from the program this year was the kickoff event. One of the students that is from a university outside of the area actually got up and thanked us publicly in that forum for just doing the program, because they were like, I knew nothing about this place. So it's really cool for them to have an opportunity not only to learn about the region, but to actually network with other people that are their age and that are interning here as well. And then of those college students interning, about 75% of them are interning through a local manufacturer, 16% are through a local IT company, and then the remaining 9% are roughly a combination of accounting, engineering, and higher ed sector. So we have a good broad representation there, but you know, the bulk of them are in 2 of our targeted industries that we're trying to support within the region. And then lastly, with this being the end, or we're coming up on the end of this year, we're really excited about our program of work that will begin July 1. The board of directors met last month, approved our budget for next year and our annual plan of work. We'll be working in early July to actually shoot that comprehensive plan out to every investor so that you can see what all initiatives we're doing next year, how that ties into our 5-year plan, and then specific metrics for each of our 3 main goals for the 5-year strategy, which is industry, talent, and placemaking. So look forward to sharing that in more detail with you next year, but we're going to keep on doing a lot of what we'll be promoting where individuals can actually see how our cost of living compares to over 300 different metros around the U.S. We're going to continue to be more aggressive next year with actually being able to go out and do outbound travel again, which is for any business development organization. Looking forward to actually getting to meet with people in person again and developing those relationships through our business attraction program. And then we're going to be, now that the colleges will be back open again, we'll be more present on campus, not only at Virginia Tech, but also Radford and New River, promoting essentially our job board, regional job board, and the livability aspect, or the livability section of the regional marketing website. So we're really excited. Again, be on the lookout. You'll be getting a copy of that in early July. We'll also make sure that that plan of work will be available digitally as well. We won't take off here with and I think that's my cue to say but I do appreciate everybody that's here today. Thank you for coming out and supporting us in person. Thank you for your contributions to our organization. Those really do make our work possible. And we really, our staff, or myself and our staff, we really enjoy the work that we get to do, and we really thank you for making that work possible. And on that note, I am delighted to introduce our sponsor today, Jim McAllister, if you'll come up. And Jim is with First Bank and Trust, and he has a couple comments he'd like to share with you.
Thank you, Charlie. Just want to thank Onward for all the work you do. Onward is the, got it. Onward runs the horse in the barn. And once we get them in the barn, we're going to take care of them, we're going to feed them, we're going to groom them, and we're going to get them to stay here, and we're going to let them grow. So Onward, we're happy to be the sponsor this evening, and I'm tickled to see so many people with no face mask on. A lot of you I don't recognize. No, just seriously, it's great to be out. And one of the first events was without a mask. I want to recognize some of my colleagues from First Bank that are here this evening. Alan Bookout, who's a commercial loan officer. Sheila Smith, who's our Fair Lawn branch manager, and she is also the president of the Pulaski County Chamber this year. Kelly Kendrick, who's a commercial loan officer over there in Blacksburg. And we have Tanner Poore with us, who is a management trainee. He's been shadowing me today, learning what not to do, right? But anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. All I want to say at this time is that I want to thank all the leaders in this room, whether you're public sector, private sector, education, and the frontline workers, all the frontline workers, which include the banks. We have bankers here who helped a lot of businesses, industry, through this thing we've been through that no one could have predicted. And I just think now's a good time to salute the leadership in the New River Valley, which was incredible with the task force we had in the New River Valley to help lead us through something that no one had a playbook on. So I think let's all have a nice evening, celebrate the fact that we're coming out, coming back. And we did a short video that they'll play a little bit later that you'll be able to see that really is a salute to the frontline workers, the bankers, the leaders that did things that no one could have imagined we were going to have to do and did it wonderfully. And so, Charlie, we're glad to be able to support your effort, and James, thank you as well. So, I'll turn it back over.
Thanks, Sheriff. Thanks for your sponsorship and your continued support. Now I'm going to introduce Man of the Hour. We have J.W. Martin. He's the general manager here for the River Turtles. So we're excited to hear him talk about the Appalachian League, the rebranding of the ballpark here, and how all that came about. And also, if you guys have questions that you've been wanting to ask, he'll be able to take a couple questions after he's done educating us about the River Turtles. J.W.?
Thank you, James. And I echo the comments from our previous speaker that it is wonderful to see so many people at the ballpark and so many people at the ballpark enjoying things we used to do prior to the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad 2020 that we have all experienced. So, pleasure to have everyone here. The number one thing on everyone's mind is will we play baseball tonight, and while I cannot guarantee that we will play baseball tonight, I can guarantee that we will do everything within our power to play baseball tonight. 1 second. And so one of the many things that has transpired this offseason, and I should say before I get into why we are all cheering for River Turtles this season, and I spoke about this during the chamber function and thought about it leading into tonight. There are so many people to thank behind the scenes within not just the Calfee Park organization, but the Sheeler organization, who spent quite a lot of hours out here over the off-season preparing for 2021. I won't go through all of those names because it would be a very long list, but what I can say is that we don't just turn the lights on game days. There's a lot of work and a lot of sweat equity invested in this ballpark, and I cannot thank them enough, and it is an honor to be working alongside them. So as you walk about throughout the night, you'll notice that everything has been changed, from the ticket stock to the signage around the ballpark to our mascot. Although Calfee is still around, and we are glad to have Calfee still with us, a lot of time has been spent rebranding this ballpark from the Pulaski Yankees to the Pulaski River Turtles. So Leading into that, there have been substantial changes made to the Appalachian League. We are no longer, and no team in the league is affiliated with a Major League Baseball team. However, we are now working directly with Major League Baseball in association with USA Baseball in what those two entities are calling a player development program, player development pipeline, program for rising freshmen and sophomores in college who are on the MLB radar but are yet to be drafted. Those are the players you will watch here tonight. Some of the best in the country. And they come from D1 schools like Oklahoma State, in our case. We've got a guy from Pepperdine. We've got some guys from community colleges. Quite a bit from Oklahoma State, though. So it runs the gamut from a community college player that may be flying under the radar, and this, for him, is a springboard, all the way up through some of the powerhouses. And while I won't comment on the record extensively, I can say that our guys are continuing to trickle in because they've been playing in the postseason in the tournament. And we now have close to, I believe, a full complement of players, and things are getting better, and we expect them to continue to get better. We're looking for our third straight win tonight, and I have all the faith in the world that we'll come out of here with another W. So, all of these players are coming from around the country to play in the Appalachian League for a shot to either continue moving up the ladder or in some way get connected with a major league program. It's a wood bat league, so that has not changed. And for these players, in some instances, it's their first trip around playing with a wooden bat. So some nuances, but for the most part, to simplify it, the same high-quality on-field product that we have come to expect at Calfee Park, just in a different format. So why the River Turtles? We got a lot of questions about that over the off-season, and I can dive into that. We had started this process, gosh, before I even jumped on in November. There were conversations being had with Major League Baseball and the individual organizations in the Appalachian League. And I think not just in our case, but if you have spent time perusing and looking at the other league logos, you'll notice a similar theme. And if you haven't, all of the banners are hanging under the canopy. So as you walk around tonight, all of those logos are now hanging from the canopy. You can take a look, and the rebrands have been interesting to say the least, and all have had some connection to the area in which they're based. In our case, we looked at two things. We wanted something that would pay tribute to the New River Valley, and the New River in particular, and we wanted something that would appeal to the younger fan base. And this was the overarching thing for us. Whether it's been Motor Mile Speedway or Calfee Park or our very successful Growing the Future program, I would argue that no local business in our area has been driven to do more for the youth and fostering youth in this region than the Sheeler Group. And when we had the opportunity to rebrand the ballpark, that was foremost on the list for us. And there were several meetings that we had where we took submissions from either diehard fans or others in the community who wanted to have input into what that name would be. This was eye-opening for me. I can say that there are some very passionate fans among us, and I celebrate that. And there was a strong throwback theme to some subsets of our fan base wanting us. The Counts was one of the big ones that went pretty far into this process, and there were some others. Polecats did not make it very far in the list, I can say that. But I do recall one in particular, a meeting that we had, a huge manila envelope full of records and photographs and just all sorts of stuff, and a letter, an impassioned letter, pleading his particular case for why it should be a particular name. So feedback from the community did play a factor in the outcome of our name, but overall we wanted something that would appeal to children. It was all about the kids. And so in the process of developing our brand, Major League Baseball took the lead in developing our turtle, but towards the end, when we got to the more minute details of our turtle, we actually had a Nickelodeon designer spend time with Major League Baseball working up the final iteration of our logo. So what we have is a logo that if it doesn't make you smile, guys, we tried really hard to make you smile. I think it's really cool, and I think that as you peruse the store tonight, we have slider dolls that will just melt your heart, even if you are a 34-year-old guy. I just think it's the greatest thing ever. So I think that we've hit a home run with our brand, and so we're building on that this year. This is year one for us. And in the process of coming out of a pandemic and the unprecedented situation that we have all found ourselves in, to working with the Appalachian League and 2 new entities in Major League Baseball and USA Baseball. We'd open it up to questions, so really quick, I don't want to slow the program down, but does anyone have any questions? Anything on your mind? Sounds good. Yes, sir.
How were the players determined which teams they would be playing on?
That's a good question, and so there was a process. Obviously, parity was very important. The league wanted to make sure that every club had an equal chance every time they took the field, but there was also a PR component to it. So let's say someone who used to play for Pulaski now has a son coming up. And he's playing for a college team. If there was a connection to a particular locality, they did their best to put those players in a situation where there could be a community tie. I know of a few situations like that, but primarily the league did their very best to make sure that every club had a roster that was had a similar talent and skill level to all the other clubs. Again, it was all about parity. Now, unfortunately, there were a lot of kids, because these kids are so good and they are so talented, we're still playing in postseason play, super regionals, so on and so forth. So for us in particular, we had to bite the bullet first couple of nights out. So not the early start is not indicative of where we think we will be come season's end. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about some of the investments that you all have made in the park to enhance.
Oh, mercy. So the question was to investments, and I think that there's no end in sight. I think that this year, for instance, many of the upgrades and improvements were to behind the scenes stuff. But we installed the 750 new grandstand bleacher seats out here. I can't speak to numbers, but that was a massive infrastructure improvement for us. And I know that that was a big deal, and that's something that has been in the works for a couple of seasons, and there have been other plans put in place for other improvements that we're hoping to make. Some of that perhaps delayed a bit just because of what we've been through. But the grandstand's the biggest and certainly the most obvious, but we have had a lot of other smaller things, and then that we've already done, and then certainly next up on the program list for us, some improvements to the press box, giving access to our waitress staff so that we can better serve those in the boxes, things like that. Not necessarily frills, but things that will help improve the fan experience, more behind the scenes than out front. What else? Go River Turtles! Thank you all so much for being here. We're happy to have you. Enjoy your night. Mr. Jennings?
Thank you, JW. And before you go away, I know that you're busy, about to get the commercial for First Bank on, but we do have a box here to thank you. It has the New River Valley logo on it. This is courtesy of Onward, and also Orange Bandana. And Nancy Creed, she puts together gift baskets and corporate gifts. So thank you for speaking today. It was great. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
We still have we have this pavilion until 6:30, so you guys are still able to network. The drink tickets are only good until 6:30, so make sure you use them at the concessions before 6:30. So make sure you do that. And then also, if you guys are staying for the game, see myself, Katie, or Christy, and we're going to give you a general admission ticket to the game and also a dessert voucher. So we'll be walking around making sure everyone that is going to be able to stay for the game is able to do that and get that dessert voucher. So thank you guys for coming and continue to network and mingle. And also make sure that you guys are, when you're out here around 6:30, you check the Jumbotron and hear the commercial from our event sponsor, First Bank and Trust Company. Thank you guys.
I think what makes First Bank and Trust different is our customer service, our dedication to our customer base and to our communities. We strive to make personal relationships, and that is very important not only to the bank but to our customers. We offered the SBA Paycheck Protection Loan, which was very beneficial to businesses of all sizes, sole proprietors, nonprofit organizations. This really was sometimes a much needed opportunity for that business. It was a lifeline for that business. And so we were very fortunate to have the opportunity to offer that product.
First Bank and Trust and banks were the front line for helping customers during the pandemic. And we already had the portals established to execute and to process the PPP loans. And we took full advantage of that. All of that money went into our community to help keep businesses open, to help keep people paid during this very unique time, a time that no one could have predicted. And as a result, I think many and almost all of our small businesses are going to come back.
When the Paycheck Protection Program began in April of 2020, the First Bank and Trust Company, an established SBA lender, was well positioned to assist businesses in the communities that we serve. At the conclusion of PPP, the First Bank and Trust Company had extended over 6,562 loans for a total of $387 million. Over 78% of the total PPP loans extended were for $50,000 or less, further demonstrating First Bank and Trust Company's commitment to small businesses.
You know, the people in the New River Valley are optimistic, they're resilient, and with the help of the PPP program and all the frontline workers, including our banks, we're going to get through it.